Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to discuss about connective tissue. So as the name indicates, the connective tissue means it connects the main function is it connects the different tissues and also provide a support and the protection to other organs. So this is the important function of connective tissue. So connective tissue is mainly useful for connecting the different tissues, and it also provides support protection to another organs. So connective tissue structure mainly comprises of cells and the matrix and the fibers. So this is the overall composition of the connective tissue. So the connective tissue contains cells, matrix and fibers. So these fibers provides the strength and flexibility to the tissues. And the cells, different cells such as the chondrocytes or the osteocytes provide the matrix of the tissue. And also the connective tissue also contains a ground substance, so which is nothing but the liquid substance. The ground substance may be of protein or lipopolysaccharide or the water. So these are the ground substances of a connective tissue. So based on the types of cells and the types of fibers present in the tissues, the connective tissues are broadly classified into three types. They are connective tissue proper, the first one is connective tissue proper, and the second one is skeletal tissue. And the third one is fluid connective tissue. So these are the three types of connective tissue, and we can learn about each connective tissue in detail. So the first tissue is a connective tissue proper. So this is the first classification of connective tissues, and the first one is connective tissue proper. So it is again further classified into loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. So as I said in the previous video, tissues means a group of cells, and here in connective tissue, in addition to cells, we also contain fibers, matrix and the ground material. So if the cells and the matrix are loosely arranged in the tissue, so cells and the matrix are loosely arranged in the tissue, it is called loose connective tissue. And if the cells and matrix are densely arranged in the tissue, it is called dense connective tissue. So this is the primary classification of connective tissue. And the loose connective tissue contains three types of tissues, and they are areolar connective tissue, adipose tissue and the reticular tissue. So areolar connective tissue means, so if we take this tissue contains different types of cells. So those cells are adipose cells, plasma cells, fibriocytes or fibroblasts, mast cells and macrophages. So the code to remember these examples are APFM. So APFM. So FM lady of state AP. So these are the cells that are present in the areolar tissue. So how these cells are arranged in the tissues means, so if we take this is a tissue, so this areolar tissue contains all these five types of cells. So here the adipose tissue, and these are the plasma cells, and these are the fibriocytes, and these are the mast cells, and these are the macrophages. So this areolar tissue contains all these five types of cells. So adipose cells as commonly known, they are useful for fat storage, and the plasma cells produce antibodies, and the fibrous cells provide fibers which gives strength to the tissue, and the mast cells are useful in pathogenesis, and the macrophages are useful in killing of pathogenic organisms. So this is about the overall areolar tissue. Whereas the adipose tissue, the main function of adipose tissue is fat storage, which is nothing but the storage of fat. So this adipose tissue is further classified into white adipose tissue, and the second one is a brown adipose tissue. So white adipose tissue is found in the adults, and the brown adipose tissue is found in the young ones or infants. So white adipose tissue is less metabolically active, whereas the brown adipose tissue is more metabolically active. So the main function of adipose tissue is fat storage, and it also used as a heat stimulation or a heat thermal regulation. Means, so if we take the animals which live in climatic conditions, so this adipose tissue forms the blubber. So this is the thick layer of skin present in the animals living in the cold conditions. So this blubber protects the animals by not releasing the fat, not releasing the heat outside, and this protects and this keeps the bodies of the animals warm. So this is the functions of adipose tissue. And the reticulate tissue contains fibers which provide strength to the tissues. So the fibers are called reticulate fibers, and these reticulate tissue is mostly found in the lymphoid organs. So the examples of lymphoid organs are lymph nodes, spleen and liver. So these are the organs where the reticulate tissue is found. So this is about the overall classification of loose connective tissue. And the second one is a dense connective tissue. So dense connective tissue is again further classified into three types. They are dense regular tissue. So the first one is dense regular tissue, and the dense irregular tissue, and the third one is elastic tissue. So dense regular tissues means, as I said before, the connective tissue contains fibers and cells. So if the fibers and the cells are parallelly arranged in the tissue, it is called a dense regular tissue. And if they are irregularly arranged, so not in a one direction, so it is called a dense irregular tissue. And the elastic tissue contains elastic fibers. So the examples of a dense regular tissue are a tendon and a ligament. So tendon connects a bone to skeletal muscle, whereas the ligament connects the bone to bone. So these are the examples of dense regular tissue. Whereas the examples of dense irregular tissue are periosteum, endosteum and pericardium. So these are the examples of irregular tissue. So if we take the structure of the elastic tissue, it can be recoiled to its original structure, because it contains elastic tissue contains elastic fibers, so it has the property of recoiling. So if you turn the elastic tissue in any shape, it again recoils into its original shape. So this is about the connective tissue proper, its classification and the examples. So our next classification is a skeletal tissue. As I said before, the connective tissue is broadly classified into three types. They are connective tissue proper, skeletal tissue, and the third one is fluid connective tissue. So here the skeletal tissue is broadly classified into two types. They are cartilage, and the second one is bone. So cartilage is a semi-solid substance. It contains elastic fibers and collagen fibers. So it contains elastic fibers and collagen fibers. So this is the composition of cartilage, and the cells of cartilages are called chondrocytes. So these chondrocytes are enclosed in a fluid-like substance, the substance is called lacunae. So this is a fluid-like substance which is called as a lacuna, and these are the cells called chondrocytes. So these chondrocytes are useful for providing the matrix of cartilage. So this is about the cartilage, and the cartilage is again classified into three types. They are hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and the third one is a fibrous cartilage. So hyaline cartilage is a bluish white in color. It is a bluish white in color. So if we take the structure of cartilage, so this is a cartilage. It consists of cells called chondrocytes, and the outermost layer of the cartilage is called pericardium. So this pericardium provides nutrition to the internal cells. So this hyaline cartilage is a bluish white in color, and it contains a pericardium and the chondrocytes. So the important examples to remember is ascentable. So ascentable means A means articular cartilages, and C means costal cartilages, and E means epiphyseal plates, and N means nasal septum, and T, B, L are the trachea, bronchi, and the larynx. So these are the examples of a hyaline cartilage. So this is an articular cartilages, these are the costal cartilages, and these are the epiphyseal plates, and this is the nasal septum, and the cartilaginous rings of trachea, bronchi, and larynx. So these are overall examples of a hyaline cartilage. And the elastic cartilage itself, name indicates, it contains elastic fibers. So it is elastic in nature, and the examples are triple E. So triple E means external ear. So it is found in the external ear, eustachian tubes, and epiglottis. Eustachian tubes and epiglottis. So this is about the elastic cartilage, and the fibrous cartilage contains fibers. So these fibers are made up of collagen. So fibrous cartilage is mainly found in the intervertebral discs. And here the point to be remembered, among all the cartilages, fibrous cartilage is the most strongest cartilage. So this is about the cartilage, and now we can learn about the bone. So the bone is a solid connective tissue. So the important functions of bone is it provides structure to the body, and it also protects the internal organs, and it also useful for the locomotion. So bone is also useful for the attachment of muscles, and hence it is useful for the locomotion of the organism. So the cells of the bone are called osteocytes, whereas the cells of cartilage are called chondrocytes, and the cells of the bone are called osteocytes. So the bone contains a outer layer called periosteum, and the inner layer of the bone is called endosteum. So these are the layers of the bone, and the bone contains inorganic materials, and during the process of aging, the inorganic materials increases in the number, and the bones become more brittle, and hence there are more chances of broken. And the bone contains three types of cells. They are called osteoblasts, osteocytes, and the osteoclasts. So osteocytes are the immature bone cells. They become matured and becomes osteocytes. So these osteocytes are useful for the mineralization of the bone, so increasing the bone composition, and the osteocytes further they mature into osteoclasts, and these are useful in the demineralization of the bone. So demineralization means the bone become brittle and it is more chances of broken, and it have more chances of getting broken. So these are the three types of cells that are present in the bone. So this is about the skeletal tissue. And the third one is a fluid connective tissue. So fluid connective tissue mainly classified into two types. They are, first one is a blood and the second one is a lymph. So if we take a blood contains a matrix and the cellular part. So the matrix of the blood is called plasma. So plasma contains all the proteins such as globulin, proteins such as albumin, globulin, and it also contains, plasma also contains an important substance called heparin. So heparin is called as an anticoagulant, means it prevents the blood from clotting. So this is about the plasma. And the cellular part includes RBC or erythrocytes, WBC or leukocytes, and the platelets are otherwise called as thrombocytes. So RBC, WBC and the platelets. So the normal range is 4.5 million per ml, whereas the WBC is 6,000 to 7,000 and the platelets are 3 to 4 lakhs. So this is the range of RBC, WBC and platelets. So RBC, the main function of RBC is it contains a hemoglobin pigment which is essential for carrying oxygen, and the WBC cells contains basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils. These basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils are called granulocytes, and granulocytes include lymphocytes and monocytes. So the basophils contains a S-shaped nucleus, whereas the eosinophils contains a dilobed nucleus, whereas the neutrophils contain trilobed nucleus. So this is the structures of basophils, eosinophils and neutrophils. And the lymphocytes contain a large round-shaped nucleus, and the monocytes contain a kidney-shaped nucleus. So this is about the white blood cells, and these all the white blood cells are useful for the phagocytosis or the pathogenicity. So these all cells provide immunity to the organism, and the platelets are useful for the coagulation of the blood. So this is about the blood. Whereas the lymph, so if we take blood vessels, so in the blood vessels, blood passes through the blood vessels. So during some conditions, some of the blood enters the interstitial spaces and again enters into the blood vessels. So the fluid that entered into the interstitial spaces and again entered into the blood vessel is called the lymph. So this is about the fluid connective tissue. So by this end we completed the topic of connective tissues. And if you have any doubts, do comment in the comment box, and thanks for watching.